Please let us know how you deal with these gray skies all the time. Today I'm here to answer one of the questions we get asked the most, especially from our longtime subscribers who've been following us since we were living in Spain. And that is, what are the main differences between living in Spain and living in Germany as Americans? Now, some of these might be obvious and some of them might surprise you a little bit. So let's get started with number one. The first big difference in terms of living in Germany as an American versus living in Spain as an American has been the weather. Now, we knew it would be colder, but we are from Wisconsin, so the weather in Germany is actually a lot more mild than the weather in Wisconsin. It's not as extreme in the summer, and it's not as extreme in the winter. However, compared to Spain, it's definitely a lot colder. But the biggest shock for us compared to living in Spain versus Germany has been the amount of sunlight. For example, we have gray skies like this in winter. It seems like every single day so far here in Germany. In Hanover, there's an average of 1,568 hours of sunlight per year compared to Madrid, which has 2,740 hours of sunlight per year. So that's over 1,200 hours difference in the amount of sunlight we're getting. And it's one of the reasons we started taking vitamin D pills here, because we feel like our bodies just are not getting the amount of natural sunlight that we should get. And the weather actually ties right into our next difference of living in these two countries. While Germans have a saying that there's no bad weather, only bad clothing, we've realized that the social life in Germany is definitely almost lacking compared to Spain, or just really a little different. And one of the reasons for that is that Germans invite more people over to their house to do things there, where in Spain it was definitely more life on the streets. And that was something we really liked. Cafes had tables and terraces out all year round, even when the temperatures were the exact same as they are in Germany, and those terraces outside in Germany, for the most part, are closed the second it gets a little bit cold. So we find that a little bit contradictory compared to that famous German saying that there's no bad weather, only bad clothing. Now, another big thing when looking at the differences between living in Germany as an American and living in Spain as an American is the bureaucracy. Now, both places have a ton of paperwork, and in this case, this is actually a similarity between living in both countries. There's a lot of paperwork involved with getting visas, getting work permits, getting residency cards, getting apartments, going to the doctor, all of that stuff. And it's been a big adjustment, especially coming from the US, where we are citizens. Now, in saying that, we know from talking to people that when you're living in the US and you're not a citizen, there's also a ton of paperwork there. So it's not like the US is really any easier in that respect. In fact, it might even be more challenging. So just keeping in mind that bureaucracy, whether you're living in Spain or living in Germany as an American, is going to be part of your life. Another big difference between living in Spain and living in Germany is the language. Now, when we moved to Spain, we spoke Spanish, so it wasn't really a problem for us. And in Germany, we did not speak German when we moved here, and now we speak just a little bit. We're slowly learning, but of course, want to learn more so we can communicate with the locals better. And we always feel bad saying "Sprechen Sie English" and asking if people speak English. However, in Germany, something important to note if you are considering moving to Germany or moving to Spain as an American is that in Germany, the English level is much higher than it is in Spain. So you should be able to communicate. However, learning a bit of German like we are trying to do is really important. One of the other biggest differences in terms of living in Spain and Germany is that the cities seem to be less dense here in Germany than they are in Spain. In Spain, I personally lived in 3 cities. Last year, we both lived in Madrid, and previously I had lived in Logroño and Granada, which is a big city, a small city, and a medium-sized city. Hanover here is the 13th largest city in Germany, so it's kind of more of the medium-sized city. But when you're in the city, there are streets and areas where it just seems purely residential. There aren't cafes, shops, restaurants, bars underneath there, where in Spain, in almost every single neighborhood, you had bars, cafes, restaurants, shops, all of that right in small areas. So that's been a bit of a shock moving here. Although the neighborhood density in Germany can be annoying at times, especially when you just want a neighborhood filled with cafes, bars, shops, everything like that that you can find in Spain, they do have a lot more green space in the cities, and I think part of that is because of the lack of density in the neighborhood themselves. So you get fantastic parks where you can go outside and enjoy. The The next big difference, and this is really based on where we've lived again in Spain and Germany, is bikes. Now, getting around by bike, love it or hate it, is really popular here in Germany. So many people do it and we use it almost every single week. In fact, almost every single day to get around. Getting around by bike is a huge thing, and that's because they really have a ton of bike infrastructure, like bike lanes. In fact, those bike lanes are even generally well protected from traffic, so it's super safe even if you're not confident on a bike. Whereas in Spain, they simply didn't have that, and perhaps that's tied to that density we talked about, where the cities are a little bit more dense. Now, there are some cities in Spain like Valencia where we haven't lived but had visited, and they're excellent for bikes. So they do exist. However, it's just not every city where that's what it seems to be like here in Germany. So while this difference between living in Spain and Germany might be a little bit controversial, it's one thing we've noticed, and it's more a positive about Spain, is that Germany is dirtier than Spain. Overall, there's just more litter and garbage in the streets. And Germany really isn't even that dirty. We wouldn't say it's any dirtier than most big cities in the US, but it's more to say that Spain is super clean. In Spain, they have workers come through every single night, power wash the streets, sweep up the litter. So the streets are immaculate, they're really clean, and it's something we didn't necessarily notice while living there, but really noticed once we moved here to Germany. So another big difference we've noticed between living in Spain and Germany is the food. Now, it's not that the food is better or worse in Spain versus Germany, although we do have our opinions. You can let us know in the comments if you have yours. However, it's the size of the food. Tapas really don't exist here in Germany, so when you go out to eat, you have to get a big meal. But just getting a small drink and a small tapa and then moving on to the next place, doing the same thing, moving on to the next place, and maybe hitting 3, 4, or even 5 of those, as we've done in some of our tapas videos that you can check out right up here. That concept doesn't really exist here in Germany, so when we go out, we generally are eating at one place and that's it for the night, which those places have really good food. However, it has made trying a lot of restaurants as well as different foods here in Germany a little bit more difficult. Now, if you did see any of our Christmas market videos, which you can check out right up here, we tried a bunch of different types of food, and at the Christmas markets, you can just get one thing and then move on to the next, more in that tapas fashion. And that's something, honestly, we know it's not part of the culture here, but we really miss about Spain, and we would like to see implemented a little bit more in Germany. Another big difference between living in Spain and living in Germany is the public transportation. Now, while in Germany, the buses, the trains in the city generally work really well and there's never a problem. It's the longer distance trains, like in the Hofbahnhof behind me, that really separate the two countries. In Spain and Germany, the prices are about the same, but in Germany, at least since we've lived here, there's delays all the time, they get canceled, where in Spain, the trains ran almost all the time on time. So if you're thinking about living in Germany, that is one thing to consider and one thing to know. Even if you're traveling in Germany, that's a very important thing to know, that trains will probably be delayed or canceled, so plan accordingly, because it does really suck and can throw off your plans quite a bit. Now, on the other hand, if you're in Spain, you probably won't have a problem with it, at least in our experience. And if you know why trains are canceled as much in Germany or delayed, please let us know in the comments, because we're really interested and we have no idea why, especially coming from Germany, where they're known as being a super efficient country and culture. So the last, most important, and perhaps the biggest difference between living abroad in Spain and living abroad in Germany is the cost of living. It is much more expensive to live in Germany than it is in Spain. But in saying that, the salaries are significantly higher in Germany than they are in Spain. So if you're thinking about moving to Spain or Germany, those are some things to keep in mind, because that's significantly going to impact your day-to-day life. Now, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know some differences that you think if you lived in Spain or Germany between the two, maybe what your preference is, and make sure to check out all our other videos right here about living abroad in Germany.